So, Pastor Jamal Bryant, you're telling me that you decided to buy this dress for your wife to wear, and you didn't think that the backlash was gonna come? I don't know. Does it sound like a lot of discernment to me, or this was planned? Let's go ahead and check it out. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bleu. It's your channel where we find the truth, seek understanding, and be the light. So there's going to be a lot of commotion that's going on, as we already know. I'm a little late in the game, but it's whatever. I just want to get, the most information and kind of really reel back and see exactly what's going on here. And this is in regards to none other than Pastor Jamal Bryant, pastor in Atlanta, Georgia area. It's not my favorite of guys. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. When it comes to the church, we're supposed to be coming in, talking about the word, learning the word, so that we are well equipped so that we can go and spread the gospel to other people, and also fellowship and all that stuff. But for some odd reason, we are out here having conversations about worldly things that you are taking part in. And what I mean by that is none other than his wife's dress, which I'll have right over here. So we're going to do this in a very interesting way. Let's actually bring up a couple of verses really quick that just to keep in mind with everything that they're saying, everything that you hear, keep in mind these verses and remember that these are coming from the scriptures in which, as a church, as a body of Christ, we should be following. So let's just go right into it. All right, let's go ahead and go into Timothy. This is 1 Timothy chapter 2. Now, Timothy is essentially the writings and teachings on everything that we should be doing in the church, how we should be acting with everybody in regards to the church and all that stuff, and especially when it comes to going out. And we'll also see in Timothy where it gives kind of the instructions on what a pastor or a leader of a church, the congregation, should be, and which we'll get to that actually in a different videos. If you guys like this type of stuff, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll see everything that's going on. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's go into verse 9 and 10. Likewise, also that women, let's go to 8 just for a bit of context. I desire then that in every place the men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling. Likewise, also that women should adorn themselves in a respectable apparel with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold or pearls and costly attire, but with what is proper for women who profess godliness with good works. This has been clear. It's clear as day. There's no denying it. We shouldn't, women, men alike, should not be putting focus and emphasis on our apparel, but should be wearing something modest, respectable, not too care much about the heavy diamonds and the pearls and the crazy hair, not the crazy hairdos, but the expensive hairdos, self-control. All these stuff mean nothing except to draw attention. And that's what we shouldn't be doing as men and as women, especially women, because when it comes to women, a lot of what they are is attention. The first thing that men, just point by the way, the first thing that for men to look at for women is normally how they appear. And the Bible puts emphasis, especially for women, to not let that be your focus, especially when it comes to finding a man, looking for a man. It shouldn't be entirely what you wear. It doesn't say to dress like a bum. It says women should adorn themselves in respectable, modest apparel, y'all. I don't even need to go any farther. But we still got more verses. All right, here we go. This is 1 Peter chapter 3. Normally I just have verses 3 and 4, but we'll just go ahead and go up to, let's just do 1 to 4. Again, having context with the Bible, we need to at least see the surroundings and not just pick just the verses, but we'll see the surroundings. Just so you guys know that the Bible's pretty clear with certain instructions, especially when it comes to the writings of the apostles and the instructions that they give. Likewise, wives, be subjects to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives, when they see your respectful and pure conduct. Do not let your adorning be external, the braiding of the hair and the putting of the gold jewelry or the clothing you wear, but let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, in which God's sight is very precious. Do I dare continue? Do I dare continue? Of course, Blue. Let's go ahead and continue. Yeah, we got one more verse. Then we're going to get into the video. Now, this is a very important part. This is a very important aspect when we're looking at everything that's happening right now with this situation and things that we'd be putting focus on. And Jamal Bryant tries to make this claim that we shouldn't be focusing on things like clothes. Why are you worrying about a dress? But the thing is, why are we wearing said dress? Why are we wearing said dress? So, Romans 12, 1-2. Living a living sacrifice. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, in which your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, what is acceptable, and what is perfect. So when we look at that verse, why are we wearing this dress? Why are we wearing these type of apparels to begin with? I completely understand if we're talking about, I don't know, Nicki Minaj or Cardi B. They're wearing these types of dresses. That makes sense. I can see them wearing that. These are worldly types of clothing because they appeal to the flesh. Should we be appealing to the flesh? No, we shouldn't be appealing to the flesh. So why are we wearing this dress? As a husband, would you want other women to be attracted that much? Not even attract. There's a difference between acknowledging that what they're wearing is nice and acknowledging the clothes that they have on. There's a difference between an attraction and lust. This type of clothing promotes lust. Everybody can go out here and be like, oh, this, and it's actually another video that we're going to bring up at the end of all this. But everybody can go out here and be like, oh, this is just apparel. This is an artist that made this dress and she's not even naked. It's just an appearance that she's naked. Why are we giving the deception to appear naked? Why are we doing that? You are the head of a church. You're supposed to be the head of the church. You are supposed to be living a specific different lifestyle from everybody based off of the words that he's going to say. Would make it seem like, yes, we're supposed to be giving our pastors grace, but that doesn't mean you just go out and do whatever it is that you want to do, just because that's what you personally want. Because now you're going out in the open with this and now giving room for everybody else to think that this is okay. What is it that's really going on here? And the interesting thing, this requires a level of discernment that everybody should be having. We're not sitting here and saying that, oh, everybody just needs to go ahead and wear a robe. I mean, heck, that's what everybody wore back in the day. What, isn't it? Everybody wore robes. These type of clothing that we have was made in a secular mindset. It wasn't made to be modest. It was made to look sexy, as we mentioned before. So you're essentially diving into the world to appear a certain way when you shouldn't be doing that, especially with the placement that you've clearly put yourself in. Like people are sitting here saying this, that, and the third and talking about the church or him himself preaching. Just even this is the first Sunday service and this is what you're preaching on, about people caring about apparel and what your wife wears. what your wife wore that day. I'm looking at the dress that she wore, and we'll see her in a second. What was wrong with that? She couldn't just wear that. But then we'll see everything that he says. Let's just go ahead and get into the video. And just this is my issue with some of these churches. When I bring up the issues with churches and pastors and the things that they're preaching, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is not something that we should be preaching. And I feel like he did this on purpose, because there's no way that you're going to be some high level pastor or whatever the case may be. There's no way that you are a leader of a whole congregation, been doing this for years, and apparently been so anointed and blessed by God that you didn't have the discernment to know that this was going to happen. He knew full well that this was going to happen, and he had a sermon ready for this to happen. And I don't know whether it was intentional for people to just ultimately not care so much about apparel when it comes to the church, but it fails because clearly in the Bible, as we just read, it does matter. It does matter. We shouldn't be stumbling blocks to our brothers. Now, I'm not again, the clothes that we have is the clothes that we have. If you're curvy, you're curvy, yes, whatever. But everything that he says here doesn't justify what is it that he's trying to pick up. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
Let's read it out loud together. He is dressed in a robe. Bless the Lord. Besides, tell him you got to read the Bible more next year.
No, Pastor Jamal Bryant, I think you have to read the Bible a little more, or you need to you're telling your people jokingly to read the Bible more. I think you need to put more emphasis to read the whole Bible. Because actually, as a matter of fact, let's go into this verse. What is it? Revelations 19:30. Okay, so you see how, when we're reading the Bible, even though I had specific verses, I went back to give context as to what's going on, what's being said. Obviously, we know that Jamal Bryant has this section, this sermon, based off of the situation with his wife, which, again, why are we having a sermon about what your wife wore? Anyways, I don't understand these churches, man. Anyways, let's get into context before he says what he has to say. The rider on the white horse, it was verse 13, which is down here. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called the Word of God. Let's step back a bit. Then as you can see, the rider on the white horse, then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteous he judges and makes war. His eyes are like a flame of fire, and on his head are many diadems, and he has a name written that no one knows but himself. Then we go into verse 13. How does he relate this to caring about clothes and apparel? Let's find out.
He's dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is the Word of God. I want to preach tonight using as a subject, and y'all are mad about a dress.
What does that verse have to do with this topic? Somebody please, in the comment section, please tell me what this verse has to do with this topic. Because I don't understand it. I don't get it. People are standing, they're clapping, they're cheering, all this stuff about everything that's going on. They know exactly what he's talking about, but look at this congregation. Granted, this is New Year's. So I would say about 50% of these people don't even come on the regular. But this whole congregation seems to be enjoying what is going on, enjoying what is being said. And it just doesn't make sense from a biblical perspective. What does that have to do with what we just read? dares his wife. If his wife just came with this, what was wrong with wearing this? This isn't pretty enough for you? I don't get that's the thing that's killing me, guys. Again, let's put up the picture of the dress again. Why was this more necessary than this? I don't get it. I lied. I do get it. This isn't what should we. This is the type of person that we should be having on the pulpit. If clearly this isn't enough for your wife to be wearing.
Finds its origins all the way back to the Bible days. John the Baptist is Exhibit A. His singular assignment was to announce that somebody great was coming. But here comes meddling Mark. It's the shortest of the synoptic gospels. The gospels include Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Mark's gospel is only 11,000 words.
Oh, I thought you meant height.
And Matthew and Luke's gospel have 8,000 more words than Mark. In only using 11,000 words for the gospel, in Mark's first chapter, he doesn't get past the 6th verse when he says, now John was clothed with camel's hair and wore a leather belt around his waist and ate locusts and wild honey. He didn't think it was prudent to tell the reader that this is the exact same outfit Elijah had on, or that this is the same wardrobe Elisha wore, as indicated in 2 Kings chapter 1, verse number 8. Nor did he take a moment to unpack why John was wearing this outfit.
Now, let's think about this for a second. If Elijah wore this and Elisha wore this and John is wearing this, John the Baptist, he had one job, was to baptize Jesus, baptize the King of Kings. That was his task. That was what he had, and the mission that he was given by God for him to do. Elijah and Elisha were very devout men that cared and listened and that prayed for God daily. That's what they did. Very minimalist. Minimal is what they needed. Minimal from the world is what they needed to complete God's mission that they had for them to do. They cared for very little of this world, clothes being one of them. And clearly didn't care much about food. Maybe that's why Mark had mentioned it. But let's see what his reasoning is.
He's wearing a robe made out of camel's hair because he was trying to let people know the spirit that was on him. A camel can carry 300 to 900 pounds of weight without breaking down. A camel can carry more weight than a horse. And the reality is, for the people who are looking at you tonight, they have no idea how much weight you are carrying.
Now, the interesting thing about that, I just want to say really quick, although he is correct in regards to the information in regards to a camel and how it just so happened that these three men significantly carry a lot of weight, a lot of burden because of the task that they had in hand. Although this part is true, somebody please tell me otherwise. I don't see this actually being biblically true, as in this was specific. This was the symbolism that we're given as to why he was wearing that clothing. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it at all.
They are so caught up on you wearing a hat that they don't know what's on your mind. They're looking at your purse, but they don't know how much baggage you're carrying. They're looking at your skirt and they have no idea what it took just for you to get out of the bed. Camels can survive 10 months without water. And you are judging people and you don't know how long they've lived without.
The interesting about that is camels are camels and they have the capacity to do so. When it comes to us living without, where do we get our source from? Who should we be getting our source from? God. We should be getting it from God. And that should be our solace at the end of the day, to allow us to keep carrying loads and loads. And we have people around to give us encouragement. But again, the discernment to understand the situations and know what's going to put us in what situation. That seems to be what's lacking here. But let's keep going.
Not only wearing a robe made out of camel's hair, but the Bible says he throws a belt on it. He throws a belt on top of a robe made out of camel's hair because he's trying to keep it together. Do you know what it takes for me not to just fall apart? All year.
This is the problem that I have with churches. They continuously try to make these symbolisms, these analogies to fixate their narrative that has nothing to do with the Bible. It's a belt. He's wearing a robe. He's trying to keep the rope in place so that, maybe his thing ain't just flailing about or giving the people a deception that his thing may be flailing about. He's wearing a robe. Really? Where are you grabbing this from? Why are we reaching? Why are we reaching so much from the word to match whatever narrative that you're trying to push? This is the stuff that I don't like. I appreciate the pastors that make it apparent, that say, I think, this is my thought, this is my interpretation when I read this, because the Bible isn't clear on a lot of things. But when you have these type of pastors that make what they think or what they're trying to push seem like this is biblical, this is the issue. This is the clear issue that I have with a lot of these type of churches, and we should be wary of these type of churches because they are reaching. We are not to reach when it comes to scriptures.
I'm trying to stop myself from cussing people out, from losing my mind, from crying in my car, from doing something crazy, doing something illegal, and all you concerned about is what I got on. You got no idea. I need extra credit just for showing up. If you knew everything that was on me. It takes a lot just for me to keep it together. The good thing for John the Baptist is John the Baptist is a man, because there's a double standard in church when it relates to women, and it's abysmal hypocrisy. You got outer shape preachers.
You've seen her face. She said, whoa, bro. These churches are so overly expressive. It's just now, granted, I will give them that. They are a bunch of out of shape preachers. We do need to take care of our bodies. So he's definitely right in regards to that. I will give him that. But why is everybody getting overly excited about this?
Who rail on modesty, but have never preached a sermon on obesity and gluttony. Our misogyny has become institutionalized.
That's misogyny.
And cloaked under spirituality.
Yeah, misogyny. I got you.
Today, if a man falls out at the altar, you will let him lay there. But if a woman lays out at the altar, you'll pull out more sheets than Bed Bath and Beyond.
Do we not? Are we missing? Are we missing? This is misogyny? So what you're telling me is that we should just allow for women, let's say she maybe curvy and her skirt may be riding up a bit, and then she's falling out next to the pulpit, just laying out on the floor. You don't think there's gonna be no dude that's gonna like, what you got going on under there, girl? You don't think there's no guy? You don't think there's no guys that's gonna be trying to do that? Come on, man. You were young. You probably still like that now. I don't understand. When they out here just jumping around and stuff like that, depending on how fit their clothes is, things may be revealed that may not want to have been revealed. Men have less to reveal. The stuff that we have to reveal, it's already fully clothed. Already fully clothed. So they don't have to worry about what guys, help me understand, y'all. Help me understand. Because I want to give these churches the benefit of the doubt that they are biblically sound. But reasons like this is why I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
In the black church tradition, in case you did not know, in the church that you were raised in the black church that you were raised in, ushers coming down the aisle had to put their hand behind their back. That was in fact instituted for female ushers so that men who were sitting on the aisle would not be attracted to look at their derriere. So they had to put their hand behind their back to block the eyes of nasty deacons who couldn't keep focus on the cross.
Right. So I don't understand the whole purpose of this sermon now, because now you're proving the point that there are people out there that will look. There are people out there, men out there that are lustful by nature, are lustful. All right, let's just keep going. I was gonna say something, but I may say it at the
end. We have placed the full responsibility of warding off temptation on women without putting a demand of sexual discipline on men.
Who doesn't do that?
We have swallowed an Americanized rape culture. The American rape culture asked women first, what were they wearing? As if the hemline is an invitation to violation. So no correction for brothers in tight pants. No correction for brothers who got their shirts unbuttoned all the way to their belly button. No correction for brothers wearing the tight shirts even when it's wintertime.
Look, all I gotta say is, if you're saying this, you're essentially calling out your brother Kirk Franklin. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna just leave it right there. If you're saying that, which is valid, it's valid. What you're saying is valid, but that's essentially what you're doing right now. Are you really calling out your brother Kirk Franklin like that? Because last I checked, I don't know many churches that just allow this to happen. I don't see, well, then again, I haven't seen a lot of churches, but I don't like, even when I'm looking at churches online, I don't see men wearing the overly tight pants. And if anything, if I do see a video like that, there's somebody that's saying something about it. That's normally what the video is about. A pastor talking about the young men that are wearing too much tight clothing and revealing that is something that we shouldn't be doing. Revealing ourselves for what purpose? Normally for some type of attraction from other people. Attractions can lead to love. Guys, I'm not a pastor, but y'all, this is kind of crazy, man. It's kind of hard for me to continue to watch this, but we gotta keep, because all the points haven't been made that he's getting, and so far I haven't seen nothing valid aside from the obesity thing. We should be taking care of our bodies, and this how the men should also be held accountable. Yes, are you holding your men accountable? I wonder.
Be very clear that the Jezebel spirit is not gender specific. There are Jezebels and there is Jarrell.
Crowd gets hyped over everything.
Maybe you forgot. Maybe you forgot about Joseph.
Homie could say peanut butter applesauce. My Jesus died on the cross. And they go nuts. They go nuts, man. What is happening, y'all? This is what we call church. This is church, guys. Come on now.
Whose father Jacob gave him an ornate multicolored robe. Of the robe that he had on. They were upset and annoyed for him to be anointed and fly. It's all right for you to be anointed as long as you don't look like nothing. As long as you look like 12 years a slave, they think you holy.
Well, what we're saying, and especially what the word is saying, especially when it comes to John the Baptist and Elijah and Elisha, is that we put too much emphasis on things that don't matter. Now, of course, we need clothes, so we wear whatever clothes we can get. But for you to be worrying about the style, worrying about how expensive, buying the expensive clothes and stuff like that, that's where the line is drawn, bro. Why we I'm not gonna keep repeating myself, y'all.
But if you got your hair done, nails done, toes done, y'all ain't saying nothing, smelling good, then immediately church Negroes will make up that you're sleeping with somebody, you prostituted yourself, you played yourself cheap. They don't understand.
Who's saying that? Who's saying that? Who's saying that? Nobody's saying that, bro. Nobody's saying that, man. I don't know. Maybe around their corner, in their village, they do that. Where I'm from, we're not doing that. We're not saying that. We're not doing that. And what are you wearing, bro? What is going on? All right.
I got a real sugar daddy, and I will look to the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. I needed to get this straight. I needed to deal with it head on, because the other day the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund. They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down. They never said anything about this was the largest fundraiser for
Now, look at this dress. For those that had absolutely no clue what was going on, one could look at this dress and be like, I mean, it's a little revealing, but it's fine. Yeah, you could say it's a little revealing and it's fine, but that's not the whole dress, y'all. There's a little deceit going on because that's not the whole dress. You've seen the whole dress already. I've shown images of the whole dress already. This isn't modest from the Bible. Modest.
HBCUs in the country, but insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress. Now, you got to help some people, because some people have embraced the full knowledge of ignorance without any assistance for understanding. The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color. But because you ain't never been nowhere and ain't never been exposed to nothing, Furthermore, I needed to set the record straight. Y'all don't like this. I need to set the record straight. I bought the dress. And I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all. She mad to me.
Okay, yeah, and I still have another video or a video I want to play in regards to this. So again, the whole idea in regarding to the clothing and the fact that he was the one that bought her dress raises a bunch of questions. You're the one that decided to run a church and to be on the pulpit. There are requirements of the pastor and how he should be doing. The fact that you wore something that could be revealing, that could be lustful, what your wife is wearing right now was just fine. Something like that is modest and it's attractive and it looks nice. So what you're telling me is you need your wife to appear naked for you to like the dress, and then for others in public for you to like the dress. You can't just wear that's dang near lingerie. You can't just have lingerie and just have your wife wear it at home. You got to be out in public so that people can be like, oh, that's the pastor's wife type of thing. You want guys to lust after your wife? Imagine, and this is what I was going to say earlier. Imagine if King David was living today and he saw your wife at this event. He's like, dang, that's a fine woman. Even though the dress isn't actual nude and it's not completely see-through and you're not naked, I have enough imagery in my head to see how you look naked. And I want you. And I'm going to get rid of him in order to do so. Now, that isn't exactly what happened with David, but almost along the same lines. Imagine, bro, because you allowed your wife to wear something that could be lustful, that could cause the lust in other men to be riled up intentionally, bro. That's why I'm saying there's no way that he didn't know that this was going to happen. This was all on purpose, man. This shouldn't be the mindset of those leading the flock, that's leading the sheep. It shouldn't be the mindset. It should just strictly be the gospel. But then there's one extra part that I just wanted to bring up, and this regards into, again, the clothing, the world, caring about the things of the world and caring about what we put on, which is the things of the world. So this is going to be a quick video. I'm going to try to stop it as least as I can because this is already running long enough. This is going to be from, and it's just interesting. This channel is called Celebrity World. I don't even know how this thing even came up. It just popped up on my feed. I thought it was just going to be another, a Christian YouTuber that's going to be talking about this. But the actual video says why Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife is being criticized. Jamal Bryant speaks out. And I'm like, wait a second. Why does this title sound like this is in defense of what Jamal Bryant is saying? So let's go ahead and listen to this video really quick. Let's just listen to this video really quick and kind of see the perspective of this YouTube channel. Now, this doesn't mean go into the YouTube channel. I know you guys, you have more discipline and more discernment to not go and like berate other people on their channels and stuff like that. Because clearly they aren't following the same God that we are if they're defending this type of behavior. Because we clearly read the scriptures, guys. Remember, modest in our apparel. That was in the scriptures. That dress was nowhere near modest. Nowhere near it. Modest was on a different planet. So let's just see what this channel had to say in regards to the Jamal Bryant situation. And I'll give my final 2 cents.
Thought it understood what this moment was about. But as usual, people reacted before they listened, judged before they understood, and spoke louder than they prayed. Clips started circulating, headlines were written, comment sections exploded. And just like that, a moment that was never about fabric or fashion became another viral argument inside church culture. But what actually happened on that pulpit was far deeper, far heavier, and far more revealing than most people were prepared to admit.
And as she's, sorry for the first stop, but as she's going ahead and talking and stuff like that, I'm going to be very considerate to listening again and see if there's anything that I missed. And if there's anything that I missed in this whole video, guys, please let me know, because I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to understand. But once the word is said, once it's said in the word, anything else, anything else doesn't matter. The word is the stopping point, right? That's how it should be. The word is the stopping point. Once it says it in the word, anything else that goes against whatever it is that was being said, no, it's not plausible. It's not evident enough. It just doesn't work. Take it out of the court. Take it out of your papers, your debate. Take it out. The word has spoken. Let's go.
When Jamal Bryant stood before his congregation and spoke those words, he was not ranting, he was not joking, and he was not performing for applause. He was responding to something that had crossed a line, and not just any line, but a line the church has crossed
There
for
was a lot of
decades
applause.
without consequence. The line where people feel entitled to police a woman's body, question her character, and redefine holiness based on how uncomfortable her confidence makes them feel. This is where it gets interesting, because he didn't start with outrage. He started with love. He said he wanted a wife he was excited to rush home to, a woman whose presence brought joy, pride, and desire, not someone who had to shrink herself so other people could feel spiritual. And the moment he said that, you could feel the tension in the room, because what he was really challenging was the silent agreement many churches have made.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do this quickly. Okay, so first part that she just said right there, somebody that can feel confident in everything that they do and not have to belittle herself. Again, this is the stuff that we're talking about when we shouldn't be caring. Remember John the Baptist, how he wore the hair of a camel? Minimal. He ate locusts and honey. Minimal. Elijah had very little while he was alive in the scriptures. He had very little. Minimal.
With mediocrity, where holiness is confused with misery and confidence is treated like a sin. Then he made something very clear. He said he had been a public servant his entire life. People could talk about him, criticize him, drag his name online. He wasn't offended. He wasn't moved. He wasn't fragile about it. But the moment anyone tried to bring that same disrespect to his wife, the conversation was over. He said the same respect given to him had to be given to her. And if anyone had a problem with that, they were free to find another church. And that statement alone shook people, because it exposed how comfortable church culture has become with dishonoring women under the disguise of spiritual concern. Here's the shocking part. Many people weren't angry because of what he said. They were angry because he said it out loud. He demanded something the church rarely hears a pastor demand publicly, which is respect.
Where that she could have worn something like that. She had, guys, this was all intentional. I'm sick, bro. I'm sick. But why are we still defending this? Let's keep going.
For his wife as a non-negotiable standard, not a suggestion. He said he needed people who would fight for what was theirs, stand for what was theirs, and demand respect for what was theirs. And in doing so, he indirectly exposed how many people have normalized disrespect as discernment. Then the message took a sharp turn, and this is where the real issue surfaced. He said it was fine to be anointed as long as you didn't look like anything. As long as you looked worn down, exhausted, and stripped of confidence, people would call you holy. But the moment a woman gets her hair done, nails done, toes done, smells good, and walks with assurance, suddenly church folks start writing stories in their minds. Accusations begin. Rumors form. Her anointing is questioned. Her morality is attacked. And none of it is based on facts. It's based on insecurity. And that's when he said something that hit even harder. He said people didn't understand that he had a real source of help, and his help came from the Lord. That line wasn't just spiritual language. It was a reminder that confidence doesn't come from approval. It comes from knowing where your strength comes from. And that confidence, especially in women, makes insecure systems uncomfortable. Then he addressed the situation head on. He said he needed to deal with it directly because the internet had gone crazy over a dress his wife wore. Not her prayer, not her impact, not her contribution. A dress, and that's when the hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. He reminded everyone that the same event people were criticizing raised $4 million for the United Negro College Fund. It was one of the largest HBCU fundraisers in the country. Heaven came down in prayer. Lives were touched. History was made. But none of that mattered to insecure, jealous, small-minded people who decided holiness should be measured by color and cut of fabric. This is where the exposure really happened. He said people created a false barometer of holiness, one that had nothing to do with fruit, impact, or obedience, and everything to do with personal discomfort. He said some people had embraced ignorance so deeply that they didn't even realize they were doing it. And
Oh my gosh, guys. We literally just read the scriptures. This is how you know that people do not read the scriptures. And I'll give it to her. I'll give it to her because the work that was being done was overlooked. I'll give them that. That's absolutely fine. The millions or whatever dollars that they had raised for these schools. How about we give these millions of dollars to the people in the streets? I don't know. As a matter of fact, so there's a school right now in Georgia, which is interesting. And I'm not going to give too much specifics, but apparently there was a private school in Georgia that allowed for gifted kids to thrive and be able to, young kids, from like kindergarten up until whatever grade that they go to. But the problem that was happening was that the school is now being shut down right now. This is in the Gwinnett County area. This private school is being shut down right now because they don't have the funds. There was a meeting and apparently they just have no money. And even if they were to increase tuition and all that stuff, they still wouldn't have enough money. Why wouldn't they? We're in Georgia. We're in Georgia. How about we give money to these schools so that this school can continue, so that these children can continue to grow in their education and not have to dial back? There are kids. There's somebody that I went to school with in high school that has her kid that's enrolled in this school. And she's saying how her kid is essentially at a third grade level in public school, but I think she's in like kindergarten or first grade. But they're allowing her to work, to learn, and continue to be challenged at that level that she's at right now. If she goes back to public school, then she's essentially going to be doing work that third graders are doing, and she's like kindergarten and first grade, and they had to be dialed back. As a parent, this is very concerning. Those that aren't parents, you're not going to know what the heck I'm talking about, and you're not going to care. But as a parent, that's a problem. So why aren't we helping this school get back up? They may not even know that this is happening, but somebody has to know that. I'm sure somebody from that school has to go to that church and has to have asked for help, something like that. Give some type of assistance. But I digress. Let's keep going.
then he corrected the narrative clearly. The dress was not see-through. It was flesh-colored.
It doesn't matter.
And the outrage wasn't about modesty. It was about lack of exposure. People judging what they had never encountered, never experienced, and never tried to understand. And then came the line that shut the conversation down completely.
What is there to understand? You're wearing a dress that gives the idea that you're naked. And you're a pastor's wife. Please help me understand, y'all.
He said he bought the dress. He said he liked the dress. And he said he didn't care who else didn't because his wife was married to him, not the internet. That wasn't arrogance. That was ownership. And ownership makes entitled people uncomfortable. But he wasn't finished. He went deeper and addressed the double standard that has plagued the church for generations. He said it was good that John the Baptist was a man, because if he had been a woman, the church would have treated him differently. And that's when he named it plainly. He said the hypocrisy surrounding women in the church.
All right, guys, I can't finish this. You guys can finish this video because at this point, I'm starting to get upset. We're clearly not reading the scriptures. We're not reading the scriptures. We're not understanding the word. And for him to say that it's his decision, he was the one that decided to pick the dress. Now, this brings back the attention from the wife. And now onto you as head of the household for not only allowing your wife to leave the house with a dress like that, which goes against what scripture says a woman should be wearing, but you being the head of the household, you're the one that approved of this. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing, y'all. It's just hard. It's just hard to really fathom somebody really defending this behavior, to where at the end of the day, I'm literally just sticking to my mind that this was all on purpose. He knew exactly what was going on. He came up with his sermon way before, and his wife is just in on everything. And this is just for clout. This is for views. I mean, clearly we're talking about it, but me talking about it is to make sure that everybody is aware of what is going on in these churches, and to understand that if we're a church, we need to be focusing on scripture. Clearly, I gave you several scriptures that contradicts what he is talking about, as opposed to the one scripture that he gave that had absolutely nothing to do with what he's talking about. Guys, y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.